allowed.
I just want to be more clear. You mentioned the Hebrew Bible, and essentially what is the difference between the Hebrew and the King James Version? And how does the Hebrew back up the Holy Quran? I don't expect you to answer everything, but just give me a general idea.
Yes, ma'am. The difference between the Hebrew Bible and the King James Bible is a difference between God and devil. King James had his translation was conducted by a team, 6 teams of translators. And he issued instructions to the translators and guiding them on how to approach their work. One of the instructions given by King James was to, when appropriate, use euphemisms. Now, euphemism during King James's day had a different meaning than euphemism today. Euphemism, as King James used it, was a word that was adequately beautiful and sufficiently concealing. So King James instructed his translators when necessary to use words that conceal the original meaning of the Hebrew. They are sufficiently attractive to the ear, but appropriately deceptive. So King James's book, the God of, you have to work hard to get a black God out of King James' book. For example, and a man God. The Hebrew Bible explicitly, and I'm going to talk about this tomorrow, explicitly calls God a man over 11 times, explicitly. One very important example is in Hosea, where God himself uses it as a self-reference. God says that on the last day, you, children of Israel, will call me Ishi, my man. Ishi literally means my man. 11 times in the Bible, so-called Old Testament, God is explicitly described as a man. King James retains only one, Exodus 15:3. And in that important passage, Hosea, where God uses Ish for himself, on that day you will call me my man. The King James Version has, you will call me my husband. He doesn't keep it in the literal, my man, so you lose the impact of God referring to himself as my man, as man. So yeah, the difference is it's a different theological world undergirding King James translation than what we find in the Hebrew Bible. They're two totally different theological worlds. But I want to say this in that question. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan wisely pointed out, in the story of David and Goliath, David slays Goliath with the stone, and then David walks up to Goliath as he's laying there and takes Goliath's sword and cuts Goliath's head off. And the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has informed us that that sword is the Bible, white for King James Bible. The white world has abused and deceived black people with the King James Bible. But Allah raised up the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, who is killing Satan, not with this book, with the King James Bible.